Hello and welcome to Enquire to Choir. My name is Eva and I'm here to help you, fellow choir people. What to do when you don't have enough choir singers? The answer to this question in this video will not be just get more choir singers. Every time I would get that answer during my career, I would always go, or at least I would want to go, like this. Do you even know choirs? Do you choir members grow on trees? And if they do, are there many kinds of choir singer trees? Because I checked and here in Croatia, that tree doesn't exist. So if it does exist in your country, please let us know. No, seriously, I mean, it's really easy to say, oh, just get more singers. And in fact, there is a video here on the channel about how to get and keep choir singers, but that doesn't solve the problem if we are in a situation that we are working with a choir that doesn't have enough choir singers. It takes a certain amount of time and energy and luck and circumstances to get choir singers, new choir singers. Not to mention, if you get new choir singers, that doesn't solve a problem if they need to be trained to be a part of the choir in a valuable way. This is why I wanted to make this video, to give you a constructive answer to that question. You have a choir which doesn't have enough singers in your opinion, so what you can do to improve the choir. Of course, you can always put your best effort to get new choir singers, but until you get them, there are things you can do. So this is a video about that. So let's start with this video and I hope you find it helpful. Okay, so first, what does I don't have enough choir singers mean? Because there are different situations. The first situation, which we are going to discuss, is you don't have enough choir singers in general. So it's not just for the upcoming performance, it's in general. You need more choir singers. You feel like your choir doesn't have enough singers, so the choir sound is suffering. Not having enough choir singers for you seems like a permanent state, so you need to do something about it. If you don't have enough choir singers for the upcoming performance, that is a different thing. And down in the description, there are going to be chapters, so if you're in that situation, you can skip to that chapter. But first, let's discuss the situation that you are working with a choir and the choir doesn't have enough choir singers. There are also two situations in this situation because the consistency of the choir is the issue here. So we are also going to divide this section into two parts. The first part will be you don't have enough choir singers, but the balance of the choir singers is good, meaning you have a good balance between sopranos, altos, tenors, basses, or whatever type of voice you have. The other situation you can be in is when the balance of the singers is off. For example, in one of my choirs currently, I am in that situation because I have 6 sopranos, 3 altos, 5 tenorines, and 1 bass. Those two situations, when the balance of the singers is good and the balance of the singers is not as good, are two very different things, so we are going to divide. So first we're going to talk about you don't have enough choir singers, but the balance of the type of voices you have in your choir currently is good. So if you have that kind of a choir, the probable need you have is for your choir to be louder or more powerful. That is something I get questioned a lot about for this channel. How to make your singers sing more powerfully, how to make them be more brave, how to make their sound bigger. That is easier said than done. The solution is not just to say, sing louder, and they will sing louder. I mean, that doesn't work like that. The first thing I would advise you is to practice with the singers apart. Meaning they are together in a choir, they're at the same rehearsal together, but they're not sitting as closely to each other as they usually do. The bigger empty space around them, the better. And then you have a rehearsal like that. Why is that a method I use? Because if they don't hear each other, as they usually do in normal circumstances, they will automatically want to sing louder to make others hear them better, which automatically makes them hear everyone else better. So automatically they have to sing louder to have a choir sound, and that is pure physics and that is pure psychology. You know, you have an empty space around you, so you need to sing louder to be heard, which makes everyone sing louder and makes everyone more hearable to you. A few rehearsals like that will make a difference because the power they need to show with their singing becomes greater. So have a normal rehearsal, but make them sit apart with an empty space around them, but close enough to others to still be able to produce a choir sound. That is a simple thing to do to make them sing louder because it just happens. There is an empty space around them, so they need to make an extra effort. The second thing is the most obvious one I'm going to suggest, and that is to work on the vocal technique. There is a whole playlist here on the channel, so you can check it out. But the vocal technique and the correct vocal technique is there for your choir to sing better. And it's about giving the breath to the sound to make it as powerful as it could be. The thing I want to emphasize here is the correct vocal technique works on the resonance, and a quiet tone with a great amount of resonance to it travels better in the space around them. Getting that resonance and the correct vocal technique makes the choir have a more powerful sound, even if they are not louder, especially in a good acoustics space. If you aim to work on the vocal technique just to make them louder, I don't think that's the most efficient goal to have. The most efficient goal to have in this situation is to give them the sound with more resonance. A resonance is a physical thing that happens, a physical effect that makes the sound travel better. The energy becomes active. So the sound becomes more active, and if you connect every singer with the singer around them with resonance, the whole sound becomes better. There is a video coming up next week, which I'm very much looking forward to, about the acoustics and the physics, so be sure to check it out. But for now, just know that the correct vocal technique we do for choirs to get more resonance and not to get a louder tone. Getting a louder tone is a side effect of good vocal technique with more power, but the resonance is the thing we have to aim for. That makes for a more powerful choir. The third thing I have mentioned here many times, and in the video How to Get a Better Choir Sound, I mentioned this a few times, and that is to rearrange their positions. The positioning of your choir singers can affect your choir sound. Again, it's about the physics, it's about the acoustics, the physics of sound. For example, you have 5 sopranos that are very quiet and a very strong soprano. Where do you put that soprano? In many cases, I see people putting their strongest soprano in the first row in front of everybody. What do you get? You get to hear that soprano, and the other sopranos sound like they're backing vocals, like they're, additional singers in a band. If you put the strongest soprano in the middle of the soprano group, that sound will affect everyone, because if they hear a stronger soprano, if the rest of the sopranos who are more intimidated hear the power of that strongest soprano, they will start singing more loudly and more powerfully just as a side effect, because they will get more secure. So it's not about you getting the strongest soprano to be the loudest. It's about getting the whole group to sound better. The influence they can have on each other is greater. So positioning your singers in a smarter way, and you know your choir singers best. Only you know what works best for them. That can affect your sound better. Again, if you arrange them in a better position, in a smarter position, that can give you more resonance as well. So that is all connected. Maybe the most insane positioning of your choir members works the best. At my last dress rehearsal, we have been in a space where my male chorus I didn't even hear them, and I was standing in front of them. What did I do? I made the female chorus go apart. I took the male chorus in front of them, and the female chorus is still standing apart. So this is the male chorus and this is the female chorus, and the sound works. Is it a conventional way to put your choir in? No, it is not. Do I care? No. Does the audience care? No, because they like the sound. And as far as I know, nobody has put out a law that prohibits that positioning. So have the courage to do that. Only you know your choir. And if somebody says, that was crazy, you can always say, well, there is this crazy lady on this YouTube thing that told me I could do that. Plus, you have my permission to do this. Here is your permission slip. I'm giving it to you. Here we are. You're welcome. Thing number 4, you can construct the change you need. That concerns the dynamics during the score. For example, your choir is singing the score, and at a certain moment, they need to become louder. You need to construct the development of a louder sound. During the singing of a score, not every voice has the same line, and not every voice is in the part of their vocal range where they can push the sound the most. So if at a certain point you have to do a crescendo and your basses are at the most comfortable part of their range and they have a very prominent melody, you instruct them to push it even further, to make an even greater crescendo. Because if they push it further, the rest of the choir will follow. Sometimes it's about instructing a part of the choir to do the most, and the rest of the choir will follow. And this is something you can construct. It doesn't happen like magic. You can analyze your score and you can work on this. You can analyze where the choir can push, at which point, in which style, which choir group, which voice part can do the most. And if it doesn't happen at the first rehearsal, if you work on that for 10 rehearsals, if you include working on the vocal technique for this problem during the vocal warm-up, you can do it. It doesn't work overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to work on it. And that takes me to the last thing in this section. You have to accept your choir. You can fantasize all you want about getting choir singers that can improve the sound. We all fantasize about having a big choir. But my main advice will always be the same. Work with what you have. Because if you keep fantasizing about getting new choir singers and making everything better, that doesn't happen either, because a bigger choir is a bigger choir and the sound changes. And if you keep fantasizing about that, you're losing your precious time because you're not working with your choir singers as they are. Accept their sound and work on that sound. Stop thinking this isn't this, this isn't that. For 10 years, I have been working with a female vocal ensemble. At the same time, I've been working with a huge mixed choir with many male voices. The power the female ensemble has will never be the power the mixed choir has. That will never happen. But that female vocal ensemble has something the mixed choir could never have. And that is such a pure, gentle, but powerful sound in a different way. The resonance you can get with a female vocal ensemble where the timbres of the singers are closer to each other is unbelievable. Will they be powerful when it comes to dynamics like the mixed choir? No, but they don't have to be. Work with the singers you have. Maybe they're not the best singers, but they're the singers who come to your rehearsals and who are a part of your choir. Analyze your choir, what are the best forces they have, and work on those things and not the choir we should have. Okay, so you are in a different situation. You don't have enough choir singers, but the balance of the voice parts is bad. I will repeat, I'm currently working with that choir, and let me tell you, it is not easy. I have to forget everything I know about choir sound balance. And that is my first advice. Adjust the sound. If you have read literature about a well-balanced choir, mixed choir, soprano, alto, tenor, bass, and all the literature comes with that presumption, and you don't have that kind of a choir, well, then the instruction that literature gives you is not your guide anymore. We talked a lot about that in the How to Get a Better Choir Sound video. It's about getting a well-balanced sound when it comes to all of the frequencies. So you need to make a spectre, a frequency spectre, work together, work in harmony. If I have 6 sopranos and only 1 bass, what would I have to do to balance that? I would have to work on making the bass stronger, and I would have to work on not only making the sopranos more piano, I have to adjust the soprano sound to be more mellow, to balance out the lack of lower frequencies, for all the choir to sound more balanced. Because if you look at it on a scale, the higher frequencies and the lower frequencies, in this case I have this. I need to balance it out, and the first thing I will do is to make the sopranos softer, so I get this, and then I will work on the bass to make him stronger, and then I will get this. Okay, so it's about balancing and adjusting your sound. That's what audio engineers do. You can do that for your choir. Another example, I have 5 tenorines. That sounds amazing, but the problem with tenorines, they're not tenors. Tenorines are female singers that sing the vocal range of a tenor, but the timbra is very different because a tenor has a light timbra. It's a high pitch for a male voice, but for tenorines, it's the lowest part of the vocal range a female chorus has. My balance of the frequencies is completely off, because even to my bass, one bass listens to tenorines. They sing the same tone in the same octave. To him, that tone sounds like they're singing, the tenorines are singing lower than him. Their timbra is so dark, and his timbra is lighter because the tone is higher for his range. So when you connect it, it sounds like they're lower than him, which is not true. The whole story about this is to give you another permission slip to adjust the sound the best you can. I know it sounds really illogical to tell 6 sopranos to be softer, to balance out the bass, because 6 sopranos have the main melody, they have to be heard. But if 6 sopranos sing the main melody as loudly as they can, and they would usually do in a regular choir, that will never sound good, because I don't have the rest of the choir to balance that, to support that in the best way. And let me tell you, it is not easy to tell 6 sopranos to take it down a notch. Not because they have an ego, it's because as an instruction, it seems really insane. But that's what you have to do. Even if something changes, even if you get many choir singers, you will still have to incorporate their sound into this sound. So it pays off to work on this sound. The second advice I have for you when it comes to this is choose different repertoire. Choose different repertoire. If I have 6 sopranos, 1 bass, 5 tenorines, and 3 altos, you know what I did at a certain point? I gave them a song where the tenorines have the main melody. If the sopranos and altos have a backing melody to the main melody, they have to learn how to be quieter. It teaches them something. And if I choose that kind of a song, it will sound better because I've accepted them for who they are. I accepted my choir, and I'm giving the repertoire which they can work with. And now that situation where you have a choir that is, a regular, whatever that means, and you have a performance, and it turns out you don't have enough choir singers for the upcoming performance. There are two different things. Again, for the upcoming performance, you know in advance, a week before, or you come to the performance and you realize many people didn't show up. In the first case, if you know in advance that for the upcoming performance, many singers will not be able to come, I would strongly advise you to do this. You arrange for a rehearsal before that performance, just with those singers who are coming to the performance. Okay, please instruct the other singers to not show to that rehearsal, because that is not a favor to you. Okay, you need to confront the situation. And then at that rehearsal, adjust the sound. There is an additional thing you can do. You can always call your friends singers to help you out for this performance. I would advise you to do this if that is a really crucial performance, you know, or you have to give your best effort to get some financing, to get, I don't know, the best opportunities forward. So there is a time and a place to do that. But if I don't have to, I don't do that, because I think it shows to my choir that they're replaceable. I think it sends the message to my singers that it doesn't matter how hard they work, there are always people who I can always call people to just come to the performance and influence the sound without any preparation, because they're better singers, you know. I can understand that there are situations where you need to do that. So again, you have my permission. It's an idea that works. And the final advice I have for this situation is to accept it, especially if you come to the performance. Okay, so you come to the performance and you realize that there will not be any more singers and you are in a complete shock, and the choir is in a complete shock. You can do two things. The first thing, you have still time to adjust the sound. If you give the instructions for them to change some things, they will listen, you know, it will work. It's not in vain. So give them instructions to adjust the sound, and really with your conducting, if you're able, just give them the best instruction you have to adjust them during the performance. But the main thing I would advise you is to accept it. You're already at the performance. You didn't want that to happen. You feel a bit disappointed. You feel angry because people didn't show up. But if you put all of your energy into that feeling, it will become worse. Not every performance has to be the best one, and you have to let go of a certain amount of your ego to live through that. I've been through that. I've been at one situation where, for a very important convention, out of 16 singers in my female vocal ensemble, only 6 showed up in front of everybody, the whole choir scene. What can you do? I mean, we still sounded great, but we were just really, really soft, you know. People could barely hear us. But what options did I have? Should I have told them not to go on the stage? No, I didn't want to do that. I knew that when we showed up, the sound will be what it is, and I will live through it, and the ensemble will live through it, and it's important for us to be there. And of course, people later came up to me and said, "What happened? You know, you were so quiet, you were so small." And I would say, yeah, well, 6 singers, things happen. The best thing about getting older and getting more experience when it comes to choir directing is just telling them, listen, you're not in my shoes and you do not know. So while I appreciate the commentary, I was in that situation and I worked with my choir the best I could. So that is that. Okay, so we talked a lot about your choir in this video. I hope you find it helpful. If you are new here, if you are a new subscriber, if you are a new choir director and you haven't seen many videos from Enquire to Choir, there are so many videos here that the YouTube algorithm is just ignoring completely, and I don't know what to do about that. But I have made a playlist, Choir Director Toolkit, and everything we talked about in this video, every video I mentioned is on that playlist. So I strongly advise you to check it out. Just click on it and look through the titles of the videos, some of the solutions for your I don't have enough choir singers problem could be there as well. But I really hope this talk, this video was something you can resonate with, and thank you for being here. If you wish to see more from Enquire to Choir, you can subscribe. You can watch all of the other videos here. You can watch the playlist. If you like the video, you can like it. And if you have a comment, you can comment down below. You know how that works. If you have a question, if you want to talk to me, you can email me. And in any case, I'm really happy you are here. Thank you for watching. Conduct well, conductors, and I'll see you next time. Bye!